Matchweek 7 was a bit of a madness, wasn't it? Oh man, being a Spurs fan, I'll tell you this now. Being a Spurs fan, we go through all the highs and lows that you could possibly get in life, innit? Things are exciting, even if things aren't going so well. It's always something different when it comes to us. Um, yeah, good week last week, man. We'll get into it though. Match week 7, sorry, shall I say. We'll start off at Villa Park, because that was the early kickoff, and that would have been from the Villa Park. Aston Villa 6, Brighton 1. I don't know, man. I don't know. This Premier League season is so hard to predict results now, and I would have never in a million years have predicted Aston Villa to put 6 past Brighton. A very, very well-drilled Brighton side that don't like to concede many goals. I think I had that one down as a 2-2 draw. By the way, all of my predictions last week were pretty much in the pot, apart from Tottenham Liverpool, which says everything, to be quite honest with you. Aston Villa 6, Brighton 1. Brighton were absolutely shocking last week, man. Didn't really get their pass game together. Got bypassed in midfield far too many times. Ollie Watkins got a hat-trick, I believe it was, last week as well. Aston Villa just kind of blew them away. Didn't really... I'll chalk it down to a bad day at the office for Brighton, because Brighton will not have many days like this. They'll probably go ahead and win their game today, to be quite honest with you. But really good account from Aston Villa. Obviously had a really, really big result midweek as well. So did Brighton, actually, coming back from 2-0 down at Marseille in France. So, just a bit of a bizarre one, this one, actually. Very, very good phase. Aston Villa do that, though. Their turnovers in midfield to the strikers up top are very, very quick. Like, quick transitions, like constantly on the go. As soon as either one of, I believe it's Ramsey or Kamara or Douglas Luiz gets the ball, on the turn, they're on. They've got about 4 strikers sort of bombing on at you as well. So they do like to flood the box as well. And Brighton just had no answer to it. Again, I'll chalk that down to a bad day at the office. Crystal Palace went to Old Trafford and got a result yet again. It seems to be a ground that Crystal Palace love to go to these days, especially during the week. Last week, they went there and got absolutely folded 3-0. 1-0 this time round to Palace against Man United, and Man United just looked so toothless. And again, looked toothless in midweek as well. Even I know Højlund got a couple of goals. It's just they are hard to make out. Like Man United at home today to Brentford, who aren't in great form either. And it's hard to predict a result on that one, because you want to say Man United are going to win the game. It's Old Trafford. They should win. It should be a formality win for them because of the form Brentford are in. But keep in mind, Brentford went there last season and beat them as well. Or was that at the G-Tech? I can't remember. I know that Brentford beat him 4-0 started last season. I think it might have been Brighton that beat him first. And Brentford beat him at their ground afterwards. But it's one of those games, isn't it? It's got draw written all over it. I don't see Man United going out peppering them, all guns blazing, gung-ho. They're going to try and keep it measured. And I just don't think they've got the midfield to do it as yet. Brentford, one of those teams, very hard working, just not in form at the moment. Don't seem to know, how to sort of buy a goal at the minute. I know they got one last week at Nottingham Forest, but yeah, it's one of those ones. It's a weird one. But let's not take the result away from Crystal Palace, who were excellent on the day. Anderson with a ridiculous finish for a centre-back. And that's pretty much how it stayed. Man United had no answer to Palace's backline, and Palace continued to do well under Roy Hodgson. Newcastle versus Burnley, that was at St James's Park, ended up being a formality 2-0 win for Newcastle United. Nothing unordinary happened in that game. It was just a formality win for Newcastle, who then went on to beat PSG midweek as well. So they have now found a bit of form at the right time this season to obviously propel them up the table. Burnley continue to play really, really good stuff. They also went to Luton, which we'll obviously get into a little bit later, and won. So they do play some really, really attractive football. They just don't have the personnel to pull it off week in, week out. But they are trying, and they are still a work in progress under company. But again, pulled no punches on this one. Newcastle 2, Burnley 0. It was the result that I expected Newcastle to have. Shocker on the cards on this one. Wolverhampton versus Manchester City. I did not see this result coming at all. especially after the first half, where I think Manchester City had about 86% possession of the ball, had about 10 shots, I think double passes that the Wolves had. Wolves just stuck to the basics and killed them down the line. Pedro Neto is a player I like a lot. One of those players that is very exciting every time he gets onto the ball. And he was the catalyst as to why Wolverhampton won this game. Of course, they're defensively very, very sound. Erling Haaland kept very, very quiet. And yeah, Man City had no answer. They actually came back into the game, got the equaliser, and then Wolverhampton got on with another sucker punch at the other end through Hwang Hee-chan, which Pep Guardiola, I doubt, will forget now, after calling him that Korean guy in his pre-match interview. Molyneux was bouncing. Wolverhampton, very, very big 3 points for them. They'll obviously need it in order to obviously stay in the league. Man City, who are still the favourites to win the league for me. Again, I'll chalk this one down to a bad day at the office because Man City looked somewhat back to their best midweek when they went to RB Leipzig and got a result there. Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 4. One of those results that I thought Bournemouth would get because of their home form. I thought it was going to be a 1-0 Bournemouth win because of all the Arsenal injuries that they had. Turns out none of those players were injured at all. So obviously Mikel Arteta playing mind games. He got me. I do hope they get whooped tomorrow though. Formality result for Arsenal. Obviously you got players like Saka, Ødegaard in the squad you're going to create, and that's pretty much what Arsenal did all game. Bournemouth had no answer to it, didn't know sort of how to shut up shop, didn't know how to sort of close the lines down, keep things tight at the back. Just wasn't happening. Their style was left to be desired, to be honest, and Arsenal completely ripped them apart, as they did last season as well. And in Bournemouth's first game back up into the Premier League, I think Arsenal went there and beat them 3-0. So yeah, one goal more in this one. Gabriel Jesus, I believe, was on the score sheet again as well for them. But Arsenal did lose in midweek as well, so that's always fun to see. West Ham 2, Sheffield United 0. That was from the London Stadium. Again, formality result. I didn't expect Sheffield United to go there and do anything after Sheffield United had literally been getting battered pillar to post week in, week out. Obviously 8-0 last week. Lost a 1-0 lead to us a week before that. And yeah, they had nothing to show for their display against West Ham. I thought West Ham didn't really get out of third gear. Didn't really need to, if I'm being honest. Sheffield United, again, favourites to obviously go down. I just don't see too much from them going forwards. They've got decent little sprays, you know. Who am I thinking of? Norwood. Is one of those players that likes to get in and obviously get on the ball, spray it about a little bit. But other than that, they are pretty rancid, if I'm being honest. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer club after what I saw a couple of weeks back against us. Shithousing their way to a potential result, only to fold in the last 9 minutes. But that's what they get, and that's what they deserve. But West Ham, rolling on under David Moyes, kind of going under the radar a little bit, doing very, very well, and had a very, very good result in Europe midweek also. Goodison Park, another shock here. My beloved's opponents went to Goodison Park last week, Everton versus Luton, and picked up a first win of the season. Wow, yeah, Everton won Luton Town 2, undone by set pieces. Everton all game, pretty much. Everton's a weird one, man. Everton will go to a team like Brentford, get 3 points there, and you think that propelled them up the table. Premier League doesn't work that way. Luton went there with a game plan and they absolutely executed it perfectly. Didn't have all the possession in the world. I think it ended up being 60-40 possession to Everton, something along the lines of that. But Luton, with the possession they did have, and obviously with the set pieces that they do have as well, they absolutely pummeled them. Everton really had no answer to them. James Tarkowski, that whole Everton back line, Pickford is too short. It's a lot. It is absolutely a lot at the moment for them, and it's difficult to kind of see where their season is going to end up. On paper, that Everton team is a top 10 team, on paper. But they're too negative. They're a little bit like what we were before Postecoglou came in. They're a very, very negative side. Kind of soak up all the pressure, do try to hit you on a counter. The problem is they don't have players that are quick enough to do it. They've got a really, really decent striker in Beto. They don't, play to their strengths and knock the ball out route one to him. they're a little bit of a shambles, if I'm being quite honest. That midfield of Onana, Ghana, and Doucouré should be doing a lot more than what they're doing now. They should be dominating every single midfield right now in the Premier League. They should be. They absolutely should be, because on paper that midfield is actually on bits, but doesn't seem to be happening that way. And Sean Dyche, I believe he's on borrowed time. I think if he loses this weekend, I think questions are going to start, serious questions will start to be asked of him. And it might be a little bit techie for him. Speaking of questions, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham v Liverpool. Tottenham 2, Liverpool 1. I want to address straight away, yes, it was a goal from Diaz. We know it was onside. But, my God, to replay the game sets a precedent. And there's a lot of games that should be replayed then if that's the case. There's absolutely no way they're going to replay it. Referees and linesmen obviously did make a mistake. VAR made massive mistakes. But ultimately, I think the result would have been the same anyway, because Liverpool did have 2 men sent off. I thought the first sending off, initially I thought it was an accident. Obviously the ball rolled, and obviously Curtis Davis, his foot rolled over the ball into Basuma's ankle. So initially I said, that's a bit harsh, shouldn't have been sent off. Letter of the law means he should have been red carded. Absolutely. I did think at the time it was a little bit harsh, but having looked at it again over and over again, he could have broken Basuma's ankle. And it is a straight red card, of course. And I heard that his appeal was turned down as well, which obviously is right. So yeah, rightfully sent off there. And as for Diogo Jota, we'll call that karma, because he should have been sent off last season for almost taking off Oliver Skipp's head. And nothing happened. And he obviously went on to score the winner at Anfield. So this one is karma. So yeah, I have no care for that, to be quite honest. So I do think we would have won the game regardless anyway. So I agree with Ange Postecoglou by saying I don't think Liverpool would have scored had the Diaz goal counted. 2-1, really exciting game. I only put a £1 bet on the 236 to 1 Aka. It was a Tottenham win. I think I needed a McAllister yellow card, a Basuma yellow card, a Virgil van Dijk yellow card, and there was one more, can't remember, but all of them hit in like the 88th to like the 96th minute. So yeah, that was nice. Son on the score sheet again as well. James Maddison pulling all the strings in midfield. Richarlison even had a good game as well, setting up the first goal, hitting the post as well. Had a really good chance to make it 2-0 again when he just blazed the ball too high. Kulusevski had a really decent game. I want more from Kulusevski though. I really do. I feel like he's giving a little bit less than what he's meant to be given. He's got a wonder of a left foot and just doesn't seem to use it to shoot. I mean, I know he could pick out the top corner. I know he can. I need to see a little bit more from Dejan, but obviously, you know, in one-on-one situations, he is ridiculous. He's one of the best at taking on opponents or multiple opponents. Keeps the ball well in close quarters and is very good at what he does. Basuma and Sarr becoming a favourite partnership for me at the moment. I know we got Bentancur to come back, and that's going to be ridiculous as well. And obviously, Sarr and Basuma will be going away to the African Cup of Nations in January. So obviously Bentancur, probably Højbjerg will be in the midfield. And I heard we'll probably get another midfielder on loan just to obviously bridge the gap. But no, about the game itself, well deserved from Spurs. Obviously Sonny on the score sheet again, and then Matip at the dying embers, scoring an own goal from a Porro cross. Cody Gakpo's got the equaliser for Liverpool in the first half, which I thought was a little bit against the run of play, but fair play to Liverpool. They kept on going, but it's one of those that Spurs at the moment seem to have the confidence and are going into every game, you know, with that confidence. Obviously no distractions. So I think top 4 for us is going to be in the bag for sure this year. Anything more, it's not for me to say. I'm not getting too excited just yet. It is still the start of the season. We are only in game week 8. So yeah, I'll keep that lidded at the moment, but I do think we are going to do damage to Luton today, which we'll obviously go to a little bit later on. City ground next, Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. That ended up being 1-1. Nottingham Forest had a man sent off as well in the game too. Again, one of those games I predicted the Nottingham Forest win, but Nottingham Forest keep on disappointing me every time I say they're going to win games, because they don't end up doing it. And Brentford, yeah, like I said, they are not in the best of form at the moment. So that's a really good point for them away from home. A really usual, resolute Nottingham Forest side that do like to compound and obviously press and put as much pressure on you as they possibly can. But not much to really talk about with regards to that game. The game was a little bit boring, to be honest, from what I saw. And I did actually switch off in like the 75th minute. So, and then we had Monday Night Football, which was Fulham 0, Chelsea 2. Fulham did not come to the party at all. Chelsea from the off were literally all over him from start to finish, pretty much. Mikhailo Mudryk getting his first goal in a Chelsea shirt. Very, very good finish. And then we had Broha, who had been injured, had a little bit of a long layoff. Has come back, obviously, in the Chelsea 11 now. And he got his first goal of the season as well. Really, really good from Chelsea. Not so good from Fulham. Yeah, Fulham didn't really do much to appease anybody at the moment. And Fulham tend to do this. There's always times when I want Fulham to do well and obviously beat certain teams, and they just don't do it. They don't show up. They did the same thing as Arsenal last season. Really, really good running games. I think they were like 6 unbeaten or something. Come to play Arsenal, they lose 3-0. Like, it's just, they're one of those teams. They're kind of annoying like that. But they need to be on it constantly, especially at home. Because Fulham are one of those teams that, you know, they could fall out of the league if they don't find form. And their form is a little bit up and down at the moment. And I think they should have put one over on Chelsea. But obviously Chelsea just came in with a game plan and it worked. So Pochettino, that's only his second win of the season as well in the league. So, yeah, lots to do. But Chelsea looked very impressive. And I've always said about Mudryk, I like players that can run at players. I like players that can beat players. I like Mudryk. And I do think he'll become a success the more, obviously, game time he gets, but he needs to put it all together. And for the first time in the Chelsea shirt, I thought, yeah, he looks a decent player and a really, really good finish as well for the first goal. And then Tuesday, we had Luton versus Burnley at Kenilworth Road, Jonathan Ross over here. Kenilworth Road, Luton 1, Burnley 2. I had Luton to win this based on the fact that the crowd would have been on it, like, constantly, and it just didn't happen for Luton. How do you score and then concede straight away pretty much at the other end to get into Burnley side that you've got under the cosh? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Kudos to Burnley. That's their first win of the season in the Premier League as well. Yeah, and it didn't flatter him either. I thought Luton should have done a lot better, defended a lot better, but it just shows Luton don't know how to defend in this league, even with a back three. That's what makes me believe they're going to get torn apart today. This is a lovely segue into game week 8 because it is Luton versus Spurs. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win, but it's going to be all one-way traffic for Tottenham, and I've got a few bets on for this one as well. And I'll probably show, like, post up what I've put in for this. There are a few things that I'm waiting for as well with regards to the team sheet, so I'll do another couple once that's out. But I'm pretty certain I've got the measure of this one right. So it will be a 2-0 win to Spurs today, and Tottenham will top the table at least for the next 12 hours, 24 hours, I think it is, until obviously Man City and Arsenal play. Fulham versus Sheffield United. That is from Craven Cottage. Fulham to bounce back for me. After that, lost to Chelsea. I'm going to go with a 3-0 Fulham win. I just think that quality will shine through on this one. Sheffield United don't have quality. They do have a lot of shithousery. But Fulham, I think, will just sort of steamroller them. And that's what I believe. Burnley versus Chelsea is one of those games where you're like, yeah, Chelsea are running into a decent run of form. But this is one of those that could potentially be a banana skin. And that's what's making me say 1-1. Burnley obviously coming off a very good win on Tuesday, will be full of confidence, and obviously Chelsea going away from home could get a bit techie. We'll go 1-1 on that one. Man United versus Brentford, again, one of those two teams not in the best of form. I probably would go with a 1-1 draw here as well. I probably side more to a Man United win based on the fact that Højlund looks like a really good player, but they need more. Defensively, they are a shambles. I believe Lazaro Martinez is now out for 3 months now. Yeah, they don't look like a unit. Onana's getting beat left, right and centre with every single shot you're taking at him at the moment. I'll go with a 1-1 draw here as well. Everton v Bournemouth has all of the ingredients for me to have a downfall here. I'm going to say an Everton win. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It's a tough one to call, this one. It's because I've said 2 draws already, and I think this one's going to be a low goal scoring game as well. And 1-0 win to Everton. 1-0 win to Everton. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt based on the fact that they are at home. And Bournemouth don't tend to travel too well. I will not be surprised if it's a 1-1 draw, though, because Everton just cannot defend for toffee. No pun intended. Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest is the late kickoff today. That's from Selhurst Park. That is a Crystal Palace 2-0 win for me. Nottingham Forest, again, another one of those teams that don't like to travel. Home comforts for them, and I do believe that they'll get turned over in style today at Palace, especially under the lights of Selhurst, where the fans are going to be up for it. Super Sunday is a belter. Absolute belter of a Super Sunday. We've got 3 games at 2 and then one obviously at 4:30. The first game, Super Sunday, is Brighton versus Liverpool. 2 teams that had very, very good results in midweek in Europe. This one's a tough one to call from the Amex. I'm going to be honest. I will go with a 2-2 draw. Brighton 2, Liverpool 2 for this one. Can't tell them apart on this one because it's going to be goals galore, I believe, and end-to-end, because none of these teams know how to defend. It's not their forte. Lots of goals. Yeah, I'll go with that one. Again, another cracker of a game is West Ham versus Newcastle. Now, Newcastle do tend to travel well to West Ham, and I'm going to give the edge on to Newcastle here, and I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1 to them. Callum Wilson does like a goal against West Ham also, and I've got him on the score sheet also. Wolverhampton versus Aston Villa is the Black Country Derby. That's from Molyneux. I'm going to go with an Aston Villa 2-1 win here as well. I do believe that both teams to score on that Super Sunday is magnificent for all 4 of those teams. I do believe both teams to score. All 4 of them teams are going to score. All 4 of them games, there'll be both teams to score. So literally all 8 teams, all 8 teams will be on the score sheet. Win for Aston Villa at Molyneux. And then the big one from the Emirates, it's Arsenal versus Manchester City. I'm going to go with a Manchester City 2-1 win there as well. Arsenal obviously going to be without a couple of key players. Man City obviously will be without Rodri. He's the main one at the moment that they're missing. But I do believe Erling Haaland will get back on the score sheet against that Arsenal team who don't know how to keep a clean sheet at home. That's my week roundup. Obviously, the next time you'll see me will be next week, Friday, where we'll kick off with the Merseyside derby. That'll be at Anfield, Liverpool versus Everton. That's the 12:30 kickoff next week, Saturday. But try to enjoy your weekend, enjoy the football, and we'll talk again next week.